Pardon. There we go. 3, 2, 1. You are live.
Hello, 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 Santa Barbara. It's your Chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And my good friend Ali is here, and she's brought me a local hero, Rodney Gustafson. And Ali's going to tell us a little bit about the collaboration between Nomad Tango and State Street Ballet. I just want to give a little bit of an introduction to Nomad Tango. 2024 has been an incredible year for Nomad Tango, and it's a dance organization, but it's also a philosophy of life and a social hangout and all other kinds of things. I interviewed the Gorczynski Tango Quartet, and they were fantastic and interesting, and they performed at Bueno Onedo in Empanadas in April. And then we interviewed El Cap. So my gosh, Ali.
Cachivache.
Yes.
Cachi.
Cachivache in October, and they did a dinner and dance show. And we also have good news that Nomad Tango is a member of the Chamber of Commerce, Visit Santa Barbara, and Meetup. And we have some new things that are going on at Nomad Tango. Well, we're doing some dance classes. For example, Teach Me Tango. It's a new series beginning August 20th at the Carrillo Recreational Center. So, if you don't know how to dance tango, you can come along and you can learn. Monday, there's at the Carrillo Rec Center, there's a practica with friends. So if you actually have taken a few classes or you know how to dance, come along to the practica. So we have Teach Me Tango on Tuesdays. Mondays, we've got the practica. And then we've got some community classes also that are happening. So if you are interested in learning anything about tango, this is where you want to go, is to Nomad Tango, the website. Now, I've introduced Nomad Tango, and now I want to introduce my guest. First of all, Rodney Gustafson founded State Street Ballet in 1994. He was dancing previously with American Ballet Theater. He's got a bachelor and master's degree in business administration. And he was also a performing artist for many years. And he's built State Street Ballet over the years. And I've just been amazed at what he's done. State Street Ballet is now an internationally acclaimed dance company that tours throughout the world. And when he was with ABT, he worked with some of the greatest dancers and choreographers of all time. Baryshnikov, Alvin Ailey, Balanchine, Rudolph Nureyev, Jerome Robbins, Anthony Tudor. He appeared in the film The Turning Point and Baryshnikov's Nutcracker, and performed in several Live from Lincoln Center specials airing on PBS. He's created many original full-length ballets for the company: Nutcracker, Romeo and Juliet, Cinderella, Midsummer's Night's Dream, and The Jungle Book as well. And Rodney, so I don't know if this makes any difference to you or you would remember this name, but so I was in the company of Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, and I was under Patricia Wilde for many years. She was my artistic director. Yeah, she was our artistic director.
That is so beautiful. Oh my God, this was my favorite woman in the world of dance. When I had danced a year in Geneva Ballet. And I came back to New York, and Patricia Wilde was teaching at ABT, and I went there, and she took me under her wing, and she really guided and got me into American Ballet Theater. I danced in Geneva for a year. It was beautiful, but I mean, it's my favorite teacher of all time, and a mentor and somebody that changed my whole life. I mean, when I was like, 19 or 20, getting into the company.
This is not part of our conversation, Rodney, but did you read the book that was written about her life?
I did not, but I know her extremely well. She just was like a foster mom to me when I went there at 15 years old, and grew up in the city on my own. So
yes, so I had the honor. I was still in the company. We were going to dance at in Milan at La Scala, and so Patricia,
wow.
She brought the company to Milan, and then we met Maria Talchief there. And we we just were so honored to be where we were at
Yeah.
that time in our lives. You know, it was wonderful to travel with her. I'll tell you a funny story, Rodney. So we traveled with two things only. And I just marveled. And I never forgot this about her because it was sort of a role model thing. So she traveled with a little black dress and a full-length sable coat.
Uh-huh.
That was it. She
Yeah.
didn't have luggage.
Yeah.
She washed the dress out. You know, basically
Oh,
that was
that
it.
is a real minimalist.
Yeah, it was amazing to
That's
see
terrific.
that, you know, and she just let her natural grace sort of override anything that she put on or wore or needed to wear. It's quite amazing to know her over a number of years. And anyway, that's our little connection. They always say
Yeah.
6 degrees of connection. And anyway, let me introduce Alejandra Foguera. She's an amazing woman. She resides in Santa Barbara, but she's born and raised in Argentina. She's the founder of Nomad Tango, and it's a not-for-profit that aims to bring the tango experience to Santa Barbara. She designs, promotes, and organizes events like we were talking about. She's done all sorts of milongas. Milonga is a name for kind of an interesting meeting that gets going when you talk about dance. And some of the people that she's brought to our community are worldwide known tango people, dancers, musicians, etc. She's maintained music and movement in her life throughout her life. She studied music, but she's also a good musician and a good dancer too. She has remained a Tai Chi practitioner, and she organized Tai Chi around Santa Barbara Wuhao group, and she's promoted Tai Chi, and she placed third and fifth in her category at the Tai Chi World Championship in 2023 in Taiwan, which is something I didn't know about. It's really amazing. And then she's got a PhD in math from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. She's a chartered financial analyst, and she did things in the financial world for many, many years. But how I know Ali is the advocacy she's done around tango and the social commitment that she's put into tango. And I've tried hard to support the organization because I believe in Ale and how hard she's been working to support tango. And the important thing about dance, Rodney, you know, I'll tell you something. I had a loss of a family member in January, and it sent me into kind of a spiraling kind of depression, and I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to change. You know, I wore the same thing for 9 months, you know, that kind of depression.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, okay, something's got to change. And I tried a shrink, and I tried a doctor, and I tried pills, and I tried various things. And then I passed a dance studio and I saw people doing bar, and I said, you know, you could do that. You remember that. You could do that. Your body remembers that. That was about 2 or 3 months ago, and I've continued every day to go to the studio and do that, and it's changed a lot about how I feel about the loss in my life, just to be there and just to be moving. So, you know, this is why I totally support all the things that Ali's doing. And Ali, would you tell me what you up to? I mean, Rodney and you are planning something, and I want to know I want to know more. Tell me, Ali, what's going on?
Well, I have admired Rodney for a long, long time. My son was ballet dancer when he was a little boy, and so I've been to stage ballet performances over the years. And now Rodney tells me that he is retiring from Stage Street Ballet, passed on the baton to a whole new group of young ladies that will carry on Stage Street Ballet in the next few decades. after 30 years, which is amazing, amazing, amazing work. And so I'm trying to catch him and rope him into the world of tango, because I believe tango is like a baby in terms of art. Is coming on to, is taking his first steps into the stage, and the first shows of tango are always going to be like variety shows, like if we're going through that infancy of the variety show, act. But I think tango is developing into a more sophisticated dance language. Many of the tango teachers we have are all ballet and contemporary dance trained with really top teachers and choreographers. So I believe that it's coming into a new stage. It has a lot of the language can speak to longing, can speak to a lot of the things we're feeling now, isolation, betrayal, love, all the emotions, not just the happy ones, the whole range. And I am so sorry for your loss, Elizabeth. I am really, as I say this, I'm like, it's I know it's part of the human experience, but to allow it and to have a art that speaks to it. Anyway, so I believe that the collaboration with someone like Rodney, that is so open-minded about how he sees dance, can help us bring like a new thing in tango. And there's a lot of people thinking this way. Like you interviewed them, a lot of them. They interview Fernanda Gui, for instance, has their own, Tango Varón and things like that. And the show we're bringing on November 10th, Remembranzas. Rodney knows this family very well. You interview them too, Alejandra and Daniel Juarez, and they have a son, Valentin Juarez, that is now with the Lines Ballet Company, was as a student. So that's kind of like one of those people that are in that nexus. And so we're going to start by putting ballet and tango in the same place. Try to bring both communities, not make ballet look like tango, tango look like ballet. Just have them be. And in the mind of the people that are there, that can be connected into what we express when we have male and female energies in tango, and male and female energy in ballet. What is the same yin-yang pair, but it's said in a different set of words, in a different set of body metaphors. And so that's how we're going to start. And then we're going to, we love talking and getting together and imagining things. So I think this is a collaboration that's going to give us a lot of pleasure and beautiful art for the future. Right? Rodney?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And Rod, are you making a ballet on the company, or what is the collaboration?
Well, it's interesting because as a founder of a company that is now turning 30 years old, I'm first of all grateful beyond belief that, and I'm so glad I got my MBA and I was very good at business, because you not only need to be an artist, but you need to be a business person. And I've, at least at this point, I want the company to continue. And I have two wonderful new women, Cecily and McDougall and Megan Phillips, that will take it forward as executive and artistic directors. But when I met Ali, her son, actually, Sunil, took ballet class with us at the studio. And I have a daughter who's at NYU getting her PhD, in not in any dance related stuff. She's an academic. She's at CERN in Colorado this summer, and she's a biologist. But it's very interesting, the connection I had with Ollie. That's how I knew her originally. And when I saw her energy for this tango, Nomad Tango, I said, I felt like I was looking into a mirror. In my life, I've worked around some of the greatest artists in the world, including the Baryshnikovs and Arayevs, Margot Fontaines, in the world of dance. But I also was an oboist, for a number of years. I never played oboe professionally, but I was always very deeply involved in the arts. And I saw something in Ali that I thought was so special that I thought, I'm going to have suddenly some time. And I was so engaged with this Nomad Tango project that I'm really glad that we may be able to do. I may be able to put my Bolero Pop, for instance, from that music is perfect for this program. I could do that duet, hopefully at Soho, at that program she talked about, and could do little things like that. But also, I want to support Ali because I've spent a lot of years in New York and continued to work part of the year in New York over the years. And I've seen things at really high levels and have such great appreciation. I moved to Santa Barbara because I toured here with American Ballet Theater and performed at the Arlington and walked down State Street. And I was like sold. So once I retired from dance in New York and went back to university for 4 years and got my undergraduate, then I said, I'm going to go try to live in Santa Barbara. Everybody thought I was absolutely crazy. That was 1994. I have a house here. I have a beautiful daughter. I had a family here. So, and anyway, I just saw something so special in Ali Santa Barbara is a very special place. I lived in Geneva for a year dancing there. I lived in New York City for years. And there's something magical about this town that I really feel I've met such wonderful, my board of directors have been fantastic over the years, and artistically and, in every respect, Santa Barbara. And I said, let me find a way to live there. Everybody thought I was crazy. You can't make professional dance. But the way I did it is built a company that does like 4 big shows a year here, but we tour extensively. Last year at this time, we were off in Japan for a few weeks, in Tokyo and Osaka, and we've been to Chile, and we've been to China, all over China, and all over the United States. So a lot of local people don't realize that about how I built the company because they hear about the shows at the Granada. But it's just delightful that I want to endorse Ali at the highest level because I've seen many artists. I was at, American Ballet Theater in class when Barishnikov walked in the door after defecting from the company in Toronto. So I really saw the real deal, right? You don't realize when you're 20 or 21 years old that you're in the center of the world's best. And when I see talent, I like to really compliment it. And thank you, Ali, thank you for having your son with us. And I think Ollie's a real deal. And I'm hoping I can help in any way possible now that I have a little more time and help her build up this tango project because she's already doing some beautiful work. So, and thank you for your program, by the way. She spoke so highly of you. And I didn't know you had so much to do with dance. And Patricia Wilde was one of my favorite people in the world, I must tell you. So there's a lot of connections through the years as we go through our lives.
So George Bardegain was her husband at the time when I was with the company.
He's a tech guy. I know.
Yeah, so he did a lot of stage management for the company.
Right.
Yeah, at the time, and he didn't come with us when the company went to Milan, but it was interesting to know both of them. I remember George made the company a whole Russian dinner. And it was so interesting at the time because we didn't really have that experience. But yeah, as you say, when you're 20 in your 20s, you don't know how lucky you are, really.
Yeah.
And it was quite amazing. But now I understand you're going to hand over the artistic and management to two new faces. Is that correct?
Well, they're not exactly new. Megan Phillips has been with me 10 years. She came from Joffrey Ballet. She was in
Oh,
there,
right.
had been in teaching, and she's the new, I designated her as the incoming artistic director. And Cecily McDougall worked for me for 15 years. Most, half of that time as a dancer. And then I got her into admin and I got her to go back to university like I had done. And she got her MBA or whatever, and went back to school and got a business education. And because I've always believed that dancers get undersold and feeling like these are people that they just know how to do ballet and stick on tights. And then, there's a stereotype about men and dancers, just things you contend with in life. But they've been wonderful. So collectively, these 2 women have worked with me 25 years. And I continue as a founding director, but what I'm relieved of is all the daily stuff I had to do constantly. And I finally, but you got to have the right people. I mean, we've done something right to exist for 30 years and have zero debt, money in the bank, and producing beautiful shows for this beautiful community that certainly deserves it. So
It's so unique what you're saying is that, and that you encourage Cecily to go back and study business because
yeah.
it's a strange thing. So Rodney, after I left the company, I actually stayed in theater, and I did for many years. I did verisimilitude and set design because I was kind of
Ah,
a
love it.
decent painter. And so if for example, if I worked at American Conservatory Theater for many years in San Francisco. So if people would say, look, we're doing an Ibsen play, then they would hire me to do Biedermeier style furniture and
Right.
settings. And, so I would know because my background was in art history. So
Mhm.
I would know, okay, and I kind of refined it as the years went on. But it was an interesting thing to stay with the arts and continue with the arts. But that led into something. A lot of the theaters that I worked for, the people on the board, especially the women on the board, um, they would say, well, she's pretty good at finding period stuff. And
Mm.
so they'd say, well, I need 18th century English, say George the Third dresser. They'd say whatever, they needed for their homes, and I could find those things,
Right.
because I knew all the people that dealt in all that. So I could
Yeah.
find those things. And so that led into a career now I've had over 25 years in appraising, which is, a
Wow.
real close
Right.
connection between the business of the arts and the market for the arts, both in visual arts and furniture and design and this sort of thing. So, and it's always quite amazing when I get sent by a museum or an institution to interview an artist as regards that artist's portfolio,
Mm.
because many times they say to me, one famous artist, I was looking at something to purchase for San Diego Contemporary Art Museum. The board wanted a certain artist in their collection, and they sent me to interview and to put his portfolio together so I could do a presentation to the board. And he said, if I wanted to be an accountant, I would have been an accountant, but I'm not, so I can't talk numbers with you at all. Many artists feel that way, and it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting. They don't want to have anything to do with the market or with numbers at
Yeah.
all. And it's really when you say that there's been no debt, you're leaving the company 30 years, not leaving, but you're exiting the main daily
Yeah.
grind after 30 years, and it's been a successful company and debt free. That's so rare.
Yeah. It's very rare. No,
Yeah, it's rare that the combination that you have of the practical and the logical and the artistic. And I think that's kind of why you and Ollie see eye to eye, because she's got that too. She's got that, artistic, fanciful way of believing in life. And at the same time, she's got this firm background in total
yeah.
logic. You don't get much more background
Oh,
in
no.
yeah,
She's the
yeah,
ultimate mathematician.
yeah,
The,
yes.
the beauty of the aesthetics of math, and even I'm gonna say that the fiction of money in some way, because the it's a beautiful construction that is incredibly intricate, right? I mean, when I went into the finance world, I went in exactly in the middle of the collapse of the
Mhm.
mortgage backs in the balance sheets of the banks and how those things imploded. And so it was a beautiful moment to appreciate the web of trust and belief that goes in there. So I think it's not, it's not a different brain. It's all one beautiful.
Yes, but very few people can actually have that kind of breadth of mind, Ali. That to think about money as a myth
Mhm.
It's true. There is that angle. What is it really? We don't really know exactly what it is.
But also well, see, and here's why I have a special thing. Well, tango is in my background, of course, but even if it weren't, I would be proposing it because just like in the world of finance, we all depend on each other. In the ecology, we all depend on each other, on the how life is weaved. We need each other, and so this tango is such an expression of that. I need that embrace with someone
Mm.
to move freely and improvise, but to move freely in an embrace. And it's a powerful, just little moment of humanity that I think, even if you don't dance it, you are there, instead of in front of a screen, I mean, you're present, you're concentrated, you're connected. That's why tango.
I think Ali is connecting to something that is deep in my heart, is that connection that we have to dance and the love. I mean, this is kind of love that you don't buy in the store, you can't buy it. You find it within yourself and you find a passion. I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 friends of mine said, once I graduated my degree from the University of Arizona, I should stay there. Everybody wanted me to stay at the university because I was already teaching dance there, but I was focused on a business degree. And I said, no, because I came to Santa Barbara because I performed here one year between LA and San Francisco Opera House. We were doing 2 weeks in LA and a week at the San Francisco, and we come to Santa Barbara for 2 nights, I mean, I was dancing with the likes of Baryshnikov and the above, the major stars of the, unbeknownst to me at the moment, I was, 19, 20, 21, 22, you're a kid, but it was something about Santa Barbara. I just want to get that in there on this interview that was beautiful. And it was very kind of artistic and spiritual and with the kind of passion that had such energy. Now, in my life, I've met a few people. I actually watched Michelle Obama's speech last night. I was very impressed with the passion she had. And I'm very impressed with these very rare people, and they are few and rare. But Ali, I felt, was one of them. So when she said she was trying to start this thing, then, you never know exactly what you know until you start using the information you've collected during your life. And it turns out I actually know quite a bit about running companies and starting companies and, everything from a lot of full-length ballets as choreographer and also the financial end of things. My partner's Bill Solo. He developed Solo software in New York City and sold it to Eisner at Disney. And he's a choreographer. He's my resident choreographer. His wife works for New York City Ballet at Lincoln Center. So I always had my New York connection as well. I said, if I'm going to build something in Santa Barbara, I want to do it right and make it first class. So, and when I ran into Ali, there was something really as funny as something very, because she approached me and I think you had Valentine, the boy, young man, as a tango couple. And but there was just this energy. I could just see the talent. And that's what's attractive to me. I don't work for money. I work for the heart, And it's interesting that you do antiques because that's a whole interesting thing in and of itself.
I
Anyway,
need to take you two to Buenos Aires. You to see the antiques and Rodney to see the tango, the dancing. Come on, guys.
Well, so Ronnie, though, I mainly it's a lot of visual art now because the world of older things is kind of passé unless it's more mid-century modern. And so so that's sort of, but what I'm fascinated to hear about is how you built the company with this very clear-headed focus on it is also a business, and the arts are also a business, and it's been so amazing to me because I occasionally will teach. I will teach after I got my doctorate. That was asked to do some assistant teaching at the university here in Westmont and Pacifica, a couple other places. And when Brooks was around, I did a couple of classes.
right.
And the business of the arts for young artists.
Wow.
And so that's always been an interesting thing. It's been like 1/4 of my life. I try to work with young visual artists and volunteer my time and make them understand that there's, this is an endeavor where you have to think about the business end. But I can tell you, Rodney, my reflection on that was that, for example, at Brooks, I taught a class there, and one professor said, we're not interested in teaching what you're teaching, Elizabeth, because we don't even support signing the work. We think that the work should be unsigned.
Wow.
And basically, it should stand on its own as a piece of art, and it should not have the character of the market or
Wow.
the
Very
individual
interesting.
creator. It should be an expression of the collective unconscious.
Right.
Well, it's hard to sell that.
Yeah, very interesting, because I knew a lot of very good artists. I met Salvador Dali while he was still alive and had a little piece of his that he gave me, which was interesting. And I was very connected with visual artists in New York too. Not myself as one, but I knew I lived in a loft and there was a lot of artists in the building, so.
Of course, Richard's giving us a sign we got to go to quick break.
Okay.
And let's go quick break, and then so I'd like to talk to Ali about something that is sort of a little bit an anathema to a person that was like myself and perhaps Rodney, that the world of Balanchine. And there's a phrase that Ali has used in a number of newsletters. Tango is whatever a tango dancer dances. I mean, that's a kind of an interesting concept to somebody like myself.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear you reflect on that and Rodney's, input on that, because it's kind of turning the paradigm around. I remember Patricia up in the nosebleeds, looking down
Yeah.
at the geometry of the floor of the stage, and us girls and boys on the stage. It was all about that. It wasn't, you didn't dance you didn't dance yourself. So, so I'd like to know what that phrase means to you when we get back from the break. Hey, Richard,
Yeah.
let's go to quick break. We get back from the break. I'm talking with one of our local and it turns out national hero, Rodney Gustafson, and then Alejandra Folguera. And the centerpiece of our conversation today is Nomad Tango, and how the world of dance is embracing two sides of something that is very interesting to me. And I had to really figure out what the connection was between Rodney and Ale. And now I know it's the passion involved.
Yep.
Okay, don't turn that down. Back in a minute.
All right. I'll let you get your tea there.
Down. Back in a minute.
Okay. All right, Elizabeth.
Okay.
And you have 12 minutes left.
Okay. And how many breaks do you want to take?
Well, we're down to one, and this is it. Because, unless you want to take another one, this will be the last segment, and I'll just divide this into two.
Yeah, okay, that'll work. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart. My great pleasure speaking with Alejandra Folguera and Rodney Gustafson. Rodney, who's 30 years director of our own State Street Ballet, founded in 1994. And it's been an incredible 30 years, wonderful, wonderful company. And Rodney was mentioning how far and wide they have toured over the years, which is something that I don't think most people understand here in Santa Barbara. And the interesting thing is the magic that dance has brought to many, many people. And it turns out that Ale's son took class with State Street Ballet, and that was the connection. And Ale, will you tell us more about this phrase? Tango is whatever a tango dancer dances. Then I'd like to hear what Rodney thinks about a dancer dancing. Well, anyway, go ahead, Tally. Tell me what that means. Tango is whatever a tango dancer dances.
Well, see, the thing is, tango comes from uh, from a time when stereotypes were a certain way and the roles were defined, man, woman, but and now we are in a world that is post all of that, post all those definitions, which is a wonderful world of being conscious and present, and not stuck behind some kind of label. So when I say that, what I mean is, we can have two men dancing together, two women dancing together. We can have more than two people dancing together. We can have a person dancing by themselves. We can have, a whole room. I've been in this place where a whole room grabs hands together and dances, all of it, 100 people in a kind of serpentine. We have musicians that never, tango was invented before rock and roll, as our friend Pablo Slano was. And now there's new instruments and new ways of feel the urban vibe, because the city has changed, so everything. So all these artists that are in exploration and launching the tango for the future, they are breaking a lot of those stereotypes, and they keep coming up with this, but this is not tango. This is not tango. Tango is a live thing inside an artist in that search. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah.
So it's sort of breaking. You're in the pathway of breaking some molds around what is traditional. And I mean, I'm sure in Rodney's 30 years in the world of ballet, that tradition too has changed so much. The classical is no longer just the classical. And so, but I was interested to hear what you said about that new things are available and the old molds are being broken, new instruments, new ways of understanding the body, new,
Exactly.
yeah.
The way we learn now to move in our body dynamics and our understanding of how the body works, I mean, it's all new and incorporated into the language.
So Rodney, can you reflect on that? Tango is whatever a tango dancer dances.
Well, we've done many kind of tango-based ballets,
Yeah.
that were choreographed, particularly by my resident choreographer, William Solo from New York City. But it made me think of the very interesting collaboration I did with Laurie Eisenhower's company out of Detroit and a company out of Montreal. And they were both very contemporary companies. Now, this wasn't pure tango, but it was really original music. We did it at the Detroit Opera House, but it was way out of the box. It was not typical, because everybody thinks ballet is where, like, the four swans, dun, 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 and that's not it.
Yeah.
Like, there's some very, very wild, cool stuff too, that's appealing to just many different. So the freedom that tango has to create, and it just depends on what you're talking about, but I was always attracted, I did quite a few original productions myself. I did a Jungle Book, which we did last year in Japan, to an original score by Milan Svoboda from the Czech Republic. And I worked with him internationally on an original score. So having been an oboist growing up too, I knew how to read music and things. So it's been great. And I think I just want to, it's a little away from your point, but I just think Ali has such a creative mind. And the fact that she's also a math person, as am I, certainly not on her level. But it's interesting. I think there's this connection between math and art. I just think, because my daughter is brilliant, and she's a research person. She had nothing to do with dance, But anyway, and your background is fascinating to me. And I want to thank you for letting me join you today in the conversation, because Santa Barbara is a special place to live. And I wanted to add something to the community, and I hope I have, and I hope I can continue to add something. And
Definitely. Well, I think that what you say that math and the arts are connected. So I had to tell you a running personal story. So my mother was one of the first female graduates of Juilliard in conducting. There
Really?
wasn't at her time. She was born in 1929,
Wow.
and in her era, there weren't many women that decided they wanted to be conductors of
Right.
orchestras
Oh,
or
no,
chorus.
male dominated for sure.
Yeah. And so she graduated Juilliard in conducting music. She went on to conduct many choral groups,
Hmm.
many of them female only
Hmm.
choral groups, which was interesting to me. But she was a tremendously good mathematician, and she
Hmm.
had what we call perfect pitch,
Hmm.
meaning that she could identify a note by just the sound of the note and say, well, that's B flat or that's whatever.
Right.
And so throughout my entire life, this was the way that I grew up was my mom had perfect pitch, and she was incredibly good pianist, incredibly good musician, but she had this perfect pitch, and she was also really good at math. I mean, tremendously good at math. And there was some kind of connection between music and math in her life, and I think it has to do with the spatial and physical relationship of the numbers and the way her mind was working. So everything in her mind was an interval. Music is also about intervals. And so, math is about intervals, and it's the
Right.
space between things. So she was so good at that. She didn't really understand why there was that connection, but there was in her life and also in some of her ancestors as well. So my grandfather, her father, had this talent too. So there is that connection, and it's about, I'm seeing the beautiful stairway imagery of the photograph behind you, Rodney, and of
Oh
course this
yeah.
is radio.
I
So
love
we
good art too. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, this is like the nautilus or the sacred geometry that you have,
Yep.
in any kind of thing. So yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. There is tremendous connection. If you abstract it way out, there is a connection. Ali, you're nodding your head, yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna launch into that because I can. I love that. Because I come from the ancient music kind of background. Uh,
Mm.
there was no difference. There was no. It's like what you said. It's the absolute or the relative, basically. And music was a way of expressing it, just like the planets do
Mm.
it. So
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's very, yeah. The aesthetics of all of that is beautiful. But
A question for
I have to prepare for that one.
yeah, no, that's like a long philosophical discussion. But I've got a question for Rodney and um so I'll just preface this by saying that my world is more about the visual arts at this point. Uh, about 25 years of working with visual arts, and what's interesting is that I've often worked with artists that teach visual arts and studied composition. And I asked one of our wonderful professors here in Santa Barbara, how do you know when a painting is finished?
Mm.
And his comment was, because that's always a challenge, is how do you know when a creation is finished? Um, and his comment was before the student starts to paint the brown potato in the sky, meaning that because the oil paint smushed together, the more you work them, the
Uh-huh.
more they become, massively mixed
Right.
brown color. And so I thought that was really interesting. But my question to you very quickly, because Richard's giving us a sign, we're almost through with our interview. How do you recognize talent?
It's something I think some people are just sort of, there's a lot you can learn about it, but I think there's something that goes beyond that. It's almost a spiritual thing to me. It feels I don't know, it's what drove me into the arts in the beginning as a musician when I was in third grade, and my continued participation and my belief in the arts and what they do for us as humanity in general, and God knows we need it more than ever. And how to recognize it is, I don't know where it comes from exactly, but I know I've never been quite the person that walked the normal line in life, and I was driven by this thing that just, it's blinding when you care a lot about the arts. And I see that in Ali, in her passion and drive. And I see, actually, it's been such a pleasure to join you and hear about you as well. I'm always fascinated with people and the wonderful things they've done. And certainly thank you for allowing me to be a guest on your show. And Ali, wonderful to get to know you.
Well, but Ali, how do you, so I shift that back to you. So you've got, you're teaching a young dancer, and you're doing your experiences, tango for beginners, from zero to tango. And you've got somebody come to your class, and you just say to yourself, I recognize something in that person. Ali, how do you recognize talent?
I am now going into more the enthusiasm. Even if a person might not show a lot of finesse or, sophistication, that I am here, the enthusiasm to put the energy for, it's just they come alive in it. That's what I want to, that's when I get fed by it, and that's what we use. I'm teaching this class Tuesdays, 5:30 in the Carrillo Rec Center. And I'm teaching with a wonderful man, Chris Peak, who's a local captain of a sailboat, lives in the harbor. With his dog. I think the dog is the pilot and he's the parrot. I always say he speaks for her. They are a fantastic pair, and he's a great teacher because he doesn't. He is very organic and raw about it. He's not gonna go, the technical. So it's all about the energy and the connection and how he feels the dance. He's a wonderful DJ as well. So it's a lot of fun. And really, certainly, it's all about enthusiasm and energy, and happy to meet each other, Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say it's enthusiasm, and and it's more about the passion and the energy. And the technique is something that maybe can flow out of that. It's interesting that you should say something like that. And Rodney, can you dance tango?
No.
Not yet. Not yet is the answer.
I mean, I would be like, yeah, maybe like your sound guy coming to a ballet class. I don't know. But I love it. And I love the arts in general, and I think we live in a lucky world to have them. And I'm so blessed to have found Santa Barbara as a place to call my home. I think we're over.
Indeed, yeah, that's very true. And Ali, what do you see happening with the company now? So Nomad Tango, what's next?
Well, no, I have so many plans, but I'm basically always interested in this idea that tango is not just the dance, and it's not just, oh, hi, sorry, and not just the music, but it also has a story, a poetry, and so much more to it. So I'm always, even movies. So I'm always looking to create this immersive feeling about it. And each show, for instance, we start each show with something called Tango Bingo. So I like to play. I like to, be alive in it. I also want to thank you enormously, because I hope this is one of the most wonderful experiences that it brought to me, this Nomad Tango, to be able to talk to you, Elizabeth. I really appreciate all our talks, your insights, your way of looking at things. And so thank you for all the talks and this one, because you brought Rodney to the program. That is a really wonderful local hero. And one of the things I really want to do is bring his first choreography ever, which is the Bolero, or at least a part of it.
Right.
and put it on now that he's celebrating this incredible landmark in his career. You know, I really think we should do it. That's my
Yeah.
big wish for the company. Really, November 10. I want to do that if we can.
Yeah. Thank you, Ali.
Excellent, excellent. So, I think Richard is giving the sign that we're almost finished, but Rodney, I have to tell you, so you are one of the reasons that I ended up moving to Santa Barbara as well. And I'll tell you in a nutshell, when I stopped, when I retired from dance, and then went back to school and started this career in the visual arts. I was doing a couple of appearances on the Antiques Roadshow, and
I know
so,
that show.
I was cutting my teeth. I was
Yeah.
being an apprentice there to a very senior appraiser, and so I think somebody from State Street Ballet saw me and recognized me, that we had some kind of background in dance in common. Anyway, she called me and she said, I'm with State Street Ballet, and I'm wondering if you could do a benefit. And yeah, I was living in San Diego at the time. If you would do a benefit and do a roadshow for the ballet, Antiques Roadshow for the ballet.
Uh-huh.
And this was probably in the early 2000s.
Wow.
And I said, I'd be happy to. I'll volunteer my time, and we'll have people bring any kind of art or antiques to a certain location in Santa Barbara. And I took the train from San Diego to Santa Barbara, and I did an Antiques Roadshow for State Street Ballet, and that was the first time I saw Santa Barbara. And I can remember to this day, Rodney, your company was affiliated with a vineyard at the time. And
Yeah.
I have a bottle still with the year of that roadshow, and the vineyard did a special wine for the event, and I still have that bottle and that year. And then I started to think, I really liked that experience. I liked Santa Barbara very much, and I kept it at the back of my head. And then one day was like, I think I'll move there. But the first time I saw Santa Barbara was because State Ballet, there was a funny connection through dance. Somebody from your company or board knew that I was in a transition, that knew that I was doing something different with my life. And I came and volunteered an Antiques Roadshow for the company years and years ago. Must have been 20 some odd years ago. So interesting connection, huh? There's always something, isn't there, Rodney? There's something.
Yeah, there sure is. There sure is.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
nice to speak with you both. And Richard saying we have to say goodbye for now, but what a wonderful collaboration. Ali, thank you for bringing me Rodney to speak to, and thank you both.
Yes, thank you for what you do. Thank you, Ali, for letting me know about it and allowing me to be a part of it.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you. All right. Bye. I'm leaving.
Okay, we're all set. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, Richard.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.